talk is presented to you by Bhartiyam USA in association with TB Asia. My name is Resi Verma, and I am an R&D electrical engineer working for a medical device company here, and I'm also part of the Bhartiyam USA team. Bharatiyam is a socio-cultural platform for Indian students, industry professionals, and scholars in the US. We at Bharatiyam believe that if the Indian diaspora, with its multiple generations and varied expertise, lends a hand to each other as one community, then the entire community can reach greater heights and contribute better to both India and the US. Our guiding principles are the 4 Cs: culture, career, country, and community. Our network includes student organizations from several US universities and professionals from diverse fields, including technology, art, medicine, etc. Today's event is being organized by Awaaz, which is an initiative of Bharatiyam USA. Awaaz is the platform to fundamentally think, communicate, and reason about the current affairs in the world. Today, we are all gathered here to learn more about the Indian Farm Reforms Bill of 2020, which was passed by the Indian government on 27th of September this year. Today, we will learn what the 3 laws contain and also touch upon the protest against the act that picked up particularly in Delhi, Punjab, and Haryana. We have among us 2 domain experts joining from India who will be shedding light on this topic. I warmly invite Mohini Mishra ji. Mohini ji is the National Secretary of Bharatiya Kisan Sangh. He holds a Master of Science degree in Agriculture and also an LLB degree. He has been working in the Bharatiya Kisan Sangh for the past few decades and has also been part of the standing committees for agriculture for the Indian government several years. We also have with us Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh. Dr. Singh started his career as an agricultural scientist in the year 1987 and is the Deputy Director General in the Indian Council of Agricultural Research since 2014. He is presently engaged in the task of empowering farmers, farm women, and youth by technology dissemination and knowledge sharing through a network of 721 Krishi Vigyan Kendras connected with several research institutes. We are also joined by Sukhi Chahal ji. Sukhi ji is the chairman of Punjab Foundation and he's the founder of Khalsa Today. Sukhi ji is based in California. He has been working with the youth of Punjab for a long time. The moderator for today's talk will be Dr. Prakash Kumar Jha. Dr. Prakash is a postdoctoral candidate at Feed the Future Sustainable Intensification Innovation Lab at Kansas State University, USA. He works in the field of crop modeling, geospatial sciences, and agricultural physics. He holds a PhD in agronomy from Michigan State University, USA, and a master's in environmental sciences from IARI New Delhi. He has published research papers in several international journals and is a lifetime member of American Geophysical Union and American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers. To take this event forward, I pass it on to Prakash ji.
Namaste everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prakash ji, we can hear you. Prakash ji, you're muted right now.
Namaste everyone. Thank you, Resi, for introducing our speakers for today's program and inviting me to moderate the session today. Before I start this session, let me explain the format of the talk today and some housekeepings. Our speakers will speak on the topic for 10 minutes, followed by question and answer sessions. I request all participants to send questions to the specific person with an ID called Bharatiyam Questions. We will do our best to include all of the questions from participants within our time limit. So for the general housekeepings, I would like to request all participants to keep themselves muted unless asked to unmute. It is my pleasure to welcome and invite Sri Mohini Mishra ji and Dr. Ashok Kumar Singh ji. We all know there are more of heat than light on the recent farm bills. A lot of discussion going on. So I would like to request first Mohini ji to enlighten our participants that what actually are these bills and why these are needed. Mohini ji, over to you.
Namaste. Now all these three bills are in discussion and in hotspot throughout the country. These bills actually passed on 27 September after the signature of the Honorable President of India. Primarily on 5th June, there are 3 ordinances regarding all these bills, and we are expecting that these bills will be passed in the parliament next session, and that happened. When these bills came, we observed it in the name of ordinances, and we suggested some corrections for these bills in favor of the farmers. What we observed that these bills are, we welcome these bills because these bills are long waited. From 90s onward, Bharatiya Kisan Sangha demonstrated and demanded that India should be one India, one market for agricultural produce. We knew it that there is a blockade in interstate to transport these agricultural produce and sell it somewhere else like that. And our second demand was that nowhere in the world which the seller is paying the tax, but in India, farmers are paying taxes in different names within the mandis and outside the mandis. So when these bills came, we go through it step by step, and we studied that these are the bills which will go for a better reform in favor of the farmers, like that. These are mostly trader bills. The number 1 bill is that trade facilitation of the agricultural produce is promotion Act 2020, and the second was the Essential Commodity Act Amendment Bill, and third one is very shortly we can call it contract bill. This Essential Commodity Act, it was promulgated in 1955 in India. जब देश में खाद्यान्न की कमी थी, हम बाहर देशों से माने खाद्यान्न मंगाते थे. We were importing food grains from outside our country. By that time, we are very shortage in producing agricultural goods. So some businessmen or traders, they should not hold all these things and to increase the market price. And there should not be inflation because poor people should capable enough to purchase all these food grains. For that only, and during the famine or during the floods, during war, for that purposes, this Essential Commodity Act was promulgated. Nowadays, we are producing a huge amount of food grains, pulses, vegetables, fruits, milk, everything we are producing more than sufficient, and it can be calculated that 1 year produce we can feed our country for 2 and 2.5 years, like that. So the market is inundated with all these products, so market price going down and down. When government wanted that the farmers should have been get a profitable price from the market, so these things has to be go, and by that government change these laws, amendment these laws, the Essential Commodity Act, that any businessman, any trader, any industrialist can hold it, process it, and market it. When these products will be go out of the market, will be less in the market price will increase and farmers will get them a better price. That was the intention. But about this law, we asked the government that farmer is not only a farmer, he is producing, he is also consuming. The onion farmer producing onion, but he is purchasing potato from the market. So there must be a balance, and government was agreed with this act that yes, when there will be necessary, government will cap these hoardings and etc. So the second law is contract farming. It was several times contract farming was on the platform. We objected it because land was under contract. This law ensures that no land can be transferred or it is not on the contract with the trader or with the businessman or with the company. Only agricultural produce will be contracted. So it is in favor of, we thought it is in favor of farmer. Oh, we welcomed it. And the third one is that there is a promotion and facilitation of agricultural produce throughout the country. So we have some major objections in this. When big farmers, Indian farmers are sitting in 127 agroclimatic zones. There are various multifarious varieties of crops we are growing. If we calculate only on brinjal, in Odisha, I know around 430 varieties of brinjals are under cultivation. We have around 1 lakh germplasms of paddy. And there are small farmers. 85% of the farmers community in India is very small farmers. There are landless farmers. There are less land farmers. There are tribal farmers. Farmers sitting in the saline coast. So there are varieties of farmers are there. They are not accessible to the MSP, to the APMC or mandis because they don't produce a huge amount. These small farmers, after producing a big amount of paddy or wheat like that, they will first prepare, stock it for their yearly consumption. Then will they sold? They will go to the mandi or like that. This is a very small amount. They don't go to the mandi. They want to sell it outside the mandi, somewhere in near his village or near his house like that. So this third bill, it ensures that. The second issue was that throughout the country, we are objecting since last 10 to 15 years that farmers should not sell, given tax in the mandis or in the markets or in the hearts like that. No, here it happens. And we raised this issue before the finance minister, before many state governments. We have talked to many mandis also, mandi management also. Why are you taking all these things? We are not against the artis. We are not against the middleman. We are not against the business people. They can earn their money, but because we are the seller, farmer is the seller, he should not pay the tax. And they will see for their other source of income like that. We are objecting, and government ensures that this law, this act will procure, the traders will procure from farmers without any tax. So because of these two provisions, we welcomed it, but we need some corrections in these bills. Number one, the traders, the farmers sitting throughout the country in small villages, they don't know who is a real trader or who is not. So we wanted that the trader should be registered under a government portal. Number two, if somebody cheat, if somebody go away without the payment, supposedly one trader purchased a paddy from 1 lakh farmers. He assured them, I will transport the money in the evening or next day, and he go away. What do the farmer do? In this act, government has a provision that you should go to the sub-collector or next to the collector, and they will resolve within the 72 hours. But our logic was on the farmer side, because we are the only pan-India farmers organization. We have around connections with 1 lakh villages farmers. We are covering with committees around 550 districts, and almost all tehsils we are covering. Our committees are there, and we are functioning that we are pan-India. So we are thinking about the farmers sitting in the nook and corner of our country. Around 6,000 villages, 6 lakh villages are where farmers are doing all this business. So we asked them, the farmers cannot go to the sub-collector. It's very difficult on his part. So you make a bank guarantee of all these traders. If someone is going away without payment, then farmer will get the payment from the bank, like that. Another the major issue which is under controversy, the MSP. Today also farmers are not getting the MSP, exact MSP within the mandis or outside the mandis. No mandis are giving. There are many issues with the farmers, the standardization and everything. But the final verdict is no mandis are giving the exact MSP to the farmers. Neither farmer getting is inside or outside the mandis. So what we expected from this government, from these laws, Government should, because this law are central government laws. Mandis are governed, APMC Act are governed by the state government. Agriculture in India is a state subject. So central government cannot enact any law to control the mandis. So what we suggested, the state government and central government should sit together. And they can call the farmers also, farmer representatives also. And they should do a new act that nobody in the contract farming or in the traders procurement or in the mandi, nobody should not purchase below the MSP. That should be a best price. We, Bharatiya Kisan Sangha is demanding a profitable price for the farmers throughout the country in almost all the crops, but it is not happening. At least let them get the MSP, not less than MSP. There should not be any procurement like that. We have demanded. These are the laws. In our country, actually, the farmers, only 6% farmers are going to the mandis, because these farmers are the surplus of their product. There are in our country around 23 crops are declared on the MSP, minimum support price. Of course, it's a tragedy for the farmers of our community, of our country. Farmers purchase everything in MRP, maximum retail price, and selling it is in and around MSP, minimum support price. That is the whole tragedy. Government, we are fighting for on the farmers' behalf. Government may be trying to give some better price for the farmers, and these acts may play a role to give a better price to the farmers of our country, small farmers, marginal farmers like that. These are the three laws, as I told, and there is some controversies. After the ordinances, we raised these issues that the government should correct some things before getting the bill passed in the parliament. It didn't happen. Another issue was there. The definition of the farmer was used in all the three acts, that any corporate house can be treated as a farmer. So we objected. It has been accepted. It has been corrected that individual farmers or FPOs can be termed as the farmer only. So that was a simple correction. This is a cosmetic correction. It has happened, but the major correction didn't happen till today. So some farmers objected. Mostly the farmers from Punjab and Haryana, they objected. They raised the issue. After their objection, some political parties enter into the arena. They try to took the movement in their hand. There was a hue and a cry against the political parties or politics regarding the farming issue. So they go back behind the screen. Then some because these farmer units, these farmers or these farm organizations, there are around 40-45 farmer organizations involved in these movements. They have a penetration only in Western UP, Haryana and Punjab. When they call the agitation of the entire country, so they have to get the help of other organizations. So political parties and other unwanted elements also try to enter into the movement. Farmers are today well equipped to fight their issue, but these people, because these organizations are not pan-India, they are limited with this limited area of Haryana, Punjab and Western UP. So the call of All India movement, so other people entered and they tried to divert the issue. Now the issue has been diverted because no bills. We had a big meeting of nationwide, around 1 lakh people were there online. We discussed the issue, and no bill is correct or incorrect in black and white. We told they are within our platform that there must be some corrections. The bill is in favor of the small farmer, but we want some corrections like that. But this movement has been diverted nowadays, and it has been they have been in a rigid format that it should be withdrawn. Well, that is the basic issue nowadays, and government is trying to access to the farmers, having talks. 6 rounds of talks has been failed. No solution has been resolved till yet. Thank you. I think I presented my view in this aspect within a short period. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mohini ji. Excellent deliberation. So nothing is perfect in the world. As you said, we have scope of amendments and talks, as we have more than 100 amendments in Indian Constitution as well. So I will now move to Dr. A.K. Singh, who is Deputy Director General of Agriculture Extension of Indian Council of Agriculture Research. And Dr. Singh, as Sri Mohini ji also explained, that we came from begging bowl to now food self-sufficient, and we are leading producer of rice and wheat. Could you please highlight what are the technical aspects of these bill which is very beneficial to farmer, or something, those aspects which needs to revised? So over to you, Dr. Singh.
Thank you, Prakash ji. Thank you. We have just heard Mohini Mishra ji, and he has spoken on behalf of the farming community of this country. I find many of the colleagues who are there in US and they are holding today on behalf of Bhartiyam. And it's a good opportunity for me also to talk to you, come in close contact, what you have been doing there. I'm really happy to have and this kind of group who is sitting far away, but still they are connected culturally. They want to build a bond between two countries and take our joint, you can say, whatever we are trying to do for the community together. Now, these farm bills, we have been talking last 3-4 months. Initially, it was passed and a discussion started. See, these acts which have come into force, I have been participating in the discussions. I think around 2000 itself started discussion on these subjects. That we need to have markets, open markets. That was discussed all the time. I could hear there used to happen one national conference for Kharif and Rabi, you might be also knowing, in which all the states used to participate. So presentation always used to come that how we can bring in contract farming in our country. So that was the discussion. And why it used to be discussed, the reason was that most of the farmers are smallholders and they are not able to manage the entire farming on their own. So very small holdings, and until unless they come into a kind of group or a kind of arrangement, they won't be able to make the agriculture profitable for them. So that was one basic premise on which whole discussions used to happen. When this government brought into the 3 acts, one was the related to market, and the other was related to the contract farming, and third was the Essential Commodity Act. So these 3, I mean to say, has been very, I can say, the timely interventions. There may be some people feel that they have not been contacted, enough discussions have not happened, but I mean to say that already 2 decades of discussion has taken place on this. I will talk about the first, the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce bill, which was passed on, and it was basically for one market. What we have been discussing, the entire country has to be one market. There should not be any boundaries between 2 states to send the produce from one place to another. This was a time where restrictions were required, when there was less production in the country. Certain pockets used to only grow, and government also required procurement of those. That's why this MSP kind of procedure happened in the country. When Green Revolution came into picture, we were short of food grains, and the government promoted that it has to be grown into, you can say, this Indo-Gangetic plains where Haryana, Punjab, they came forward, even Western UP joined. And we produced so that we could feed our population. But it did not remain only in the, you can say, UP, Western UP, Haryana and Punjab, but entire country now, you will find that it's a grain basket. Even Madhya Pradesh has come up, entire UP has come up. UP is producing more than Haryana and Punjab put together. And then Bihar has also come up. So many states have come up for the food grains production. As far as MSP is concerned, since it started early and infrastructure and other things were built up in Haryana and Punjab earlier, so most of the procurements in the past has been happening only from these two states. MSP benefits have been going to these two states. The farmers of other states have not been getting that level of, you can say, benefits. So when these bills came, farmers thought whether the MSP will be also affected. Time and again, government has said that MSP, APMC mandis, both are going to remain in our country. And I mean, as a scientist also, I feel that it will always remain. In a country where population is more than 1.3 billion, we cannot have a system without APMC and without procurement. And that too on MSP, because there can be any kind of calamity anytime and will be requiring a huge quantity of food grains. And at that time, who will support us? So I mean to say that the government in the same interest has been clarifying time and again that MSP will continue and APMC markets will be also continue. So I think this was basically a kind of assumption which came into the farmer's mind. Technically, what other points I find that since APMC mandis are providing huge tax to the state governments, in Punjab itself almost 3,500 crores annually tax government is able to get out of the APMC mandis. And when these private mandis, which will be coming into what government said, there was no provision of taxation. So government thought that they will be losing the tax also. So initially, the government, which were getting a lot of support in terms of taxation, they also thought that we will be not able to get that much taxation. So governments, somehow they became reluctant to convince the farmers, and the farmers came into understanding that these acts are going to actually harm their interest. Now, what I personally feel that it will provide better opportunity to the farmers. It's not only to the rice, and there are 23 commodities, but most of the purchases happens for rice and wheat because these are the staple foods for the country. So I mean to say that if we think that rice and wheat is the only two commodities for which Haryana and Punjab are fighting, that should not be the case. If you look into the real picture, the groundwater table in these two states are going down very drastically. The recent report from Montek Singh Ahluwalia, a committee was constituted by state government Punjab. Every year 70 to 80 centimeter water is going down. And many times it has been said that Haryana and Punjab should not cultivate rice. So these are the realities. And even APMC continues, MSP continues. Tomorrow you will find 3-4 years later, the farmers will leave these two crops. At least rice there will be done away because there won't be any water in the ground. So the basic premise on which it is said that MSP will not be there, APMC mandis will not be there, that will not be, you can say, in the consideration at all. Montek Singh Ahluwalia also said that there has to be diversification. Rice has to be replaced by maize. Rice has to be replaced by other crops like cottons and other many places it is happening also. But it has to happen fast. Haryana has already come with a proposal of diversification. They are paying rupees 7,000 per acre for cultivation of any crop other than rice. And this year itself, 2 lakh hectares has come up into the, you can say, into other crops other than the rice. The rice area is reduced. So these are the basic, you can say, ground on which we have to discuss that if MSP remains also, these two crops for which there is a market and there is a procurement is not going to remain. So other commodities, they are not under MSP. When you talk about the fruits, you talk about vegetables, you talk about milk production, poultry. So nothing is in the MSP gamut. And those sectors are growing faster than rice and wheat. If you take the price of water, 3,000 liters per kg, which is consumed for production of rice, and if you calculate the price of that water, so how much it will come? So I mean to say that we have to have understanding that today or tomorrow, whether there is MSP, there is APMC, rice and wheat are not going to remain in Haryana and Punjab. They will shift to other states where water is in plenty. So this is the ground reality which I wanted to mention. The second act is about the contract farming. Again, contract is not a new thing. Contract has been happening at the individual level. We know about the milk production goes under contract with different kinds of buyers. People sell it. Even the orchards are sold. Initial assessments are made by the farmers and buyers together. And it has been happening since many years. And we have been doing as a farmer also. We have got land holdings. We have been doing on this kind of contract. But there was not a kind of government act on this. And that was for the benefit of buyers many times, because they were able to manipulate. Contract used to happen, they will not come to buy, and the produce which is coming at the farmers level, that gets vested. So government brought a kind of provision so that a kind of legislative arrangement is there, and if farmer is cheated, some regulation is there to punish the buyer. So this kind of contract farming government has brought into. And this is very, very important for the small farmers. They used to have very small surplus, which is to be sold in the market. They cannot sell individually. So, and they cannot go far off to the market. APMCs are located far away. So nearby some markets, organized markets should be there. You all, those who are from rural areas, and they have from you will be knowing that farmers are selling just on the roadside, sitting anywhere. So where is the courtyard where they can sell? Where is the market structure? And we have been telling quite often for last 10, 15 years that what is lacking in India, there is no marketing structure. Production is not an issue for a country like us now. It is a surplus production. We have got 3 times more than what we require the buffer stocks, but marketing is an issue. We have been telling that private is not investing in agriculture. And all the forums, all the scientific forums, we have been appealing that the private sector should come, invest in agriculture. They are investing in other sectors, but they are not investing in agriculture. So the government has brought a kind of arrangement. And the third act is also very important, Essential Commodity Act. Earlier, there was a restriction that you can not stock this much. Beyond this, you cannot stock. You cannot buy also. So government has liberalized this. Any kind of produce, a buyer, you can say the corporate house can buy, they can stock it. And that will provide an opportunity to the buyer that they can be assured of a sizable produce to be bought. And they can plan any kind of exports also. Our population is now, you can say, declining growth is there. But food production, it is already going up and up. We are almost 300 million tons of food grains production we are doing now. So what we'll do of that food grains production? If we are very good in rice and wheat, what we'll do of rice and wheat? We have to export it. And who will export? Government cannot export everything. So private sector has to come into picture. They have to buy it at large scale. And they have to see that what are the markets available in India and what are the markets available abroad. And once the private sector comes, they also educate people that what kind of produce you have to produce, which is to be sold in the market. So I mean to say that there will be a kind of, you can say, synergy and a kind of provision in which a good knowledge, new knowledge will come to the agriculture sector. Arrangements will be there locally, besides the farmland, you will find that there are certain market structures. Some private organized sector is there to buy the produce. Otherwise, some people come, individuals come buy on any rate from the farmers, and farmers are forced to sell it. So there would be a kind of competition also. And at the same time, government is telling that APMC will continue. And as a person who is in agriculture and working as a farmer also and working as a scientist also, I find that these APMC Acts will also remain and MSP will also remain, so that some sizable produce is procured every year by the government. That kind of assurance government has to have all the time to feed the population. This year during COVID itself, 80 crore people were provided free food by the government of India because we had surplus. If you don't produce, don't stock, then where it will go? So obviously, all three laws are going to facilitate, and government has also come up with 10,000 farmers producer organizations. So we will find that a kind of marketing structure will be there, a kind of processing structure will be there with those farmers producer organizations. And they will be able to connect to the market. They will be able to speak in a voice. I mean to say, when they're collectively, they will speak 1,000 farmers, 2,000 farmers together. They can talk with a, you can say, conviction with any kind of buyer who is coming to them. So those provisions are there. At the same time, government is also thinking to facilitate food processing industries in this country, because that is one area where we are lagging. There used to be forced sell, whether prices are crashing, even then farmer has to sell it because he has no capacity to process and hold it. So 1 lakh micro food enterprises are going to happen. And once that will also start, it will facilitate farmers to grow not only rice and wheat, but grow many of the other aspects. You will find fruits, vegetables. Now consumer behavior is also changing. So we have to have a kind of structure in the country where we can have the processing, value addition, storage, the kind of market which is required. And then we'll find that the farmer smallholders are largely benefited. I find as an agricultural scientist, not from the government side I am speaking, I find that these laws are very much beneficial to the farmers. And if any apprehension about the MSP, if government is telling, Honorable Prime Minister is speaking, the farmers should believe it. And again, I am telling this statement that even MSP remains, Haryana and Punjab farmers are not going to grow rice and wheat for longer, because agroclimatic conditions are not like that. The water capacity in the soils is not like that. Not much water is available. And rice and wheat provides only a limited kind of income to the farmer. But from other enterprises, once they venture into, and we find Haryana and Punjab farmers are so, you can say, innovative. If they go for the fruits, vegetables, they will be earning many times more income than what they are getting. And that is what we as a scientist think. We are in close connection with the farmers, thousands of farmers. They buy all the basmati seeds from our own institution only. And they are getting good income also, but they can get even better incomes once they go to the other crops. So this is how I find the three laws are there. All these laws are beneficial. Contract farming, government time and again is telling, and it is a fact also, land contract is not there. There won't be any contract on land. It has to be only on the produce. So these apprehensions, I think, may not be right, but farmers need to understand. And if there is any worry into them, government is ready also to give in writing that whatever you want, we can give in writing. So this is what briefly I want to say. And if further queries comes, I will be always coming to picture. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, for explaining the scientific background of these acts and an intellectual biography of these acts, how it passed. For agriculture reforms, when we talk about progress of agriculture, it's a holistic approach between scientific community, farming community, and the policy support. So the community is very important in agriculture aspect. So here among us we have Sukhi Chahal ji. Sukhi Chahal ji, the chairman of Punjab Foundation, and he works with the farmers and youth in Punjab and Haryana. So I would request Sukhi Chahal ji to comment on these bills and ask specific questions to our speakers in short. Thank you, Sukhi ji.
नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल। पहले मैं कंफर्म करना चाहता हूँ मेरी आवाज आ रही है आप लोगों को?
आ रही आवाज आ रही है।
वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड। अगेन नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल। सबसे पहले मैं किसानों के इशू के बारे में बात करूं। मैं आज पटियाला में हूं और आधे घंटे में फतेहगढ़ साहिब सरहंद में जा रहा हूं, जहां गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी के छोटे साहिबजादों की शहीदी हुई थी। उसके ये जो दिवस है सिखों में, पंजाबियों में, भारत के लोगों के लिए एक बहुत अहम दिवस है। ये इस वीक में गुरु गोविंद सिंह के 4 साहिबजादे शहीद हुए थे और छोटे साहिबजादे, जहां मैं आधे घंटे के बाद जहां वो गुरुद्वारा साहब जा रहा हूँ, सरहंद गुरुद्वारा साहब जा रहा हूँ, वहां गुरु गोविंद सिंह जी के छोटे साहिबजादे दीवारों में चिनाए गए थे। उनको क्यों चिनाए गए थे? क्योंकि वो इस्लाम धर्म उन लोगों ने कबूल नहीं किया गया था। और मैं अपनी तरफ से, लोगों की तरफ से, हमारे देश के लोगों की तरफ से और जो डायस्पोरा में जो भी हमारे भारतवासी बैठे हैं उनकी तरफ से वहां मैं श्रद्धा के फूल भेंट करने के लिए वहां जा रहा हूं। दूसरी बात, जो अभी आप प्रोमिनेंट स्पीकर्स जो बोले, मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगा, क्योंकि जो इमीडिएटली इन लोगों ने क्वेश्चन एक रेज किया है, एमएसपी पे किया है और पंजाब के पानियों पे किया है। और मैं आई वांट टू ब्रिंग योर अटेंशन बैक इनटू द 2009। मैं पंजाब के एक मानसा डिस्ट्रिक्ट के रहने वाला हूँ। मेरे इलाके का पानी की बहुत ज्यादा कंटेमिनेशन है और पानी की कंटेमिनेशन की वजह से वहाँ कैंसर की बहुत प्रॉब्लम है। और जो पानी की कंटेमिनेशन और कैंसर की जो रूट कॉज है, वो राइस की जो उपज हो रही है, वहाँ मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइजेशन जो राइस के लिए पानी की जरूरत पड़ती है, उसके लिए फर्टिलाइजर की जरूरत पड़ती है, उसकी वजह से सॉइल भी कंटेमिनेशन हो रही है, पानी भी कंटेमिनेशन हो रहा है। इसीलिए हमने पंजाब फाउंडेशन की तरफ से, मेरी फैमिली की तरफ से, हमने हमारे गांव में 2007 में सबसे पहला वाटर कंटेमिनेशन ड्रिंकिंग वाटर का लगाया था। उसका रीजन मैं अब इसके साथ कनेक्ट कर रहा हूँ, क्योंकि जैसे माननीय स्पीकर ने अभी बोला कि जो एमएसपी तो ठीक है, मिलनी चाहिए और इमीडिएटली जितनी भी देर, जैसे ये पीछे से ये कभी भी संविधान में नहीं थी ना आज है, तो ये हमेशा लेकिन लोगों को मिलती रही है। लेकिन लॉन्ग टर्म में अगर ये हम पंजाब के लोगों को इससे जो इसका जो चावल की खेती है इससे नहीं निकालोगे, तो पंजाब का जो फ्यूचर है आने वाले इवन के 30 to 50 ईयर जो बहुत ज्यादा डार्क है। इसीलिए पंजाब को लोगों को डाइवर्सिफिकेशन इज वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट। सो दैट्स नंबर 1। नंबर 2, इसमें लाइक इन दिस सिचुएशन, one thing I really, since I came here on November 23rd, I have seen with my own eyes, and I have met many people over here. But this is the democracy. We always claim that, okay, so this is the clear and present process democracy in the motion. लोगों को अगर like if there is a issue with the government, then the government should then the people should protest and the government should listen. And this is okay, so there is some miscommunication, or even even in all these 3 laws there are some deficiency, and they should be, we should discuss that with the government, and that process is in motion. And that process, the way, the peaceful process, the people of the Punjab and the people of Haryana or people of some western UP and even some of the other states are displaying, this is very very important. Not only important because this is the peaceful process, and also there is a table talk going on. This is the government of India, and also they displayed to the whole world that this is not a dictator. This is the actual democracy. Them while they are protesting, peaceful protesting, and also there is a dialogue going on. They're trying to find out the mutual ground, and I'm very sure actually because there is a very committed people actually on the both sides, those who want to find a peaceful solution of during this process. That's number two. Number two, in this whole scenario, Hindu, Sikh unity, and even Punjab and Haryana unity, that was the very important. That was very important, and that's also being shown. And the last thing actually I want to show, which is hurting me so much, because some of the elements outside India, outside Bharat, especially in the US, Canada, and the other country, they are trying to hijack this peaceful movement of the farmers, which is very dangerous. All the so-called Khalistani, you can see in San Francisco what they are doing over there, and what they're doing in the Vancouver and also Washington DC and other parts. They're trying to hijack. This is the peaceful process by the farmer, for the farmer, for the people of Punjab. The Khalistani people had nothing to do with that, and they are intentionally trying to disrupt this movement. That's what bothering me, and that's what I want to say. अगर मेरे से कोई गलती होएगी तो मेरे को माफ करना. Otherwise, please, this kind of dialogue is very important. And let's try to convey the message to everybody. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, Sukhiji. Thank you, Sukhiji. Communication is very a key component of delivering message to the stakeholders, and that's how among us we have Vandana ji. She is a TV Asia, Midwest USA Chief Bureau, and she will have some questions for speakers. Vandana ji, over to you. Could you please unmute yourself?
Namaste. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. I heard the whole thing from both the speakers as well as one observer, Sukhiji. And to the people, those who are in India, they are addressing this, first of all, at this time. It is like very early morning, and it is important to work. And Prakash ji, thanks for arranging. I have very simple questions. One question indirectly has been asked by Sukhiji, which he mentioned about. But Mohini ji, I'm just seeing it from a common, because as my role is from the media as well as from the community perspective. We, a general people, are seeing more on the protest side. But when there are so many farmers, so many farmer organizations, those who are supporting this bill, so why are not they coming out that openly in public and saying that we are supporting that? That is creating some kind of confusion. लोगों के दिमाग में कि भी क्या इसमें गलती है, जैसे आपने बोला, क्योंकि सब लोग एक्चुअल में तो जो लोग बैठे हैं उसमें से भी 70-80% लोगों को नहीं मालूम कि ये बिल क्या है. पर एक आम इंसान, उसके दिमाग में भी जो धारणा बैठ जाती है कि इस तरह से ये लोग बैठे हैं, जिस तरह से प्रोजेक्ट किया जाता है, हमारे ही भाई बहन मीडिया वाले जो दिखाते हैं वहां इतनी ठंडी है, उसमें बैठे हैं ये वो, तो इसी तरह से दूसरी साइड वाले लोग वो क्यों नहीं आते सामने और आकर के बताएं? जैसे बोला कि प्रोटेस्ट हो रहे हैं. आई एम फ्रॉम शिकागो राइट नाउ एंड टॉकिंग एवरी अदर डे. हम लोगों का कोई मतलब भी नहीं होना चाहिए था इस चीज में. भारत एक लोकतंत्र है और लोकतंत्र में मेजॉरिटी से ये बिल हुआ और वहां बैठ के डिस्कस हो रहा है, राउंड टेबल में भी हो रहा है. और पीसफुल अगर प्रोटेस्ट रखें जिसमें ISI के आने की जरूरत नहीं है और भी बाकी जो है, तो वो लोग क्यों नहीं आ रहे? ये मेरा सवाल आपसे है. और डॉक्टर अशोक जी, आपसे मेरा जो सवाल है, what question I want to ask you, as he mentioned about the quality of the water, means like you just mentioned, it is receding. So the alternate farming, and it can be very profitable. So over a period of time, how are we trying to educate our farmers that you can definitely make much more money and be more strong? And then the pesticides also, because we see that there is so much of cancer in India and which is affecting. Thank you very much. And thanks, Prakash ji.
Thank you. मोहिनी जी, पहले आप लेंगे.
थैंक यू वंदना जी. जैसे मैंने बताया था कि जब ऑर्डिनेंस आया, हम लोगों ने इस विषय को बारीकी से अध्ययन करके प्रचार तंत्र में, मीडिया में, प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस में, अपने नेटवर्किंग में, सोशल मीडिया में इसको डाला कि ऐसा ऐसा ऑर्डिनेंस आया है, आगे चलकर ये बिल आने वाला लगता है अगले सेशन में. इसका जानकारी ये है, इस पर 3-4 करेक्शन की जरूरत है, मगर ये बिल किसान के पक्ष में है. देश भर के जो छोटे मोटे किसान है, गांव गांव में बैठा है उनके पक्ष में है। उसमें फार्मर एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप डेवलप कर सकता है, प्राइमरी प्रोसेसिंग में किसान आ सकता है और किसानों को वो जो हाई वैल्यू प्रोडक्ट, जैसे ट्राइबल फार्मर्स का हम देखे हैं, हाई वैल्यू प्रोडक्ट वो कलेक्ट करते हैं मगर एकदम लोएस्ट प्राइस में वो बेचते हैं। उनके लिए अगर कोई ट्राइबल मॉल बन गया, चेन बन गया, तो ह्यूज मनी दे कैन अर्न लाइक दैट। सो जो छोटे छोटे क्रॉप्स है उसके लिए भी आजकल न्यूट्रिशन क्रॉप्स जो बोलते हैं, आप इसको मिलेट्स बोलते हैं, रागी वगैरह, उसका भी एक हाई वैल्यू आजकल मार्केट में आ रहा है, उसका भी अच्छा प्राइस मिल सकता है। इसलिए ये बिल को हम स्वागत किए। हमने इतने बड़े पैमाने पर उसका प्रचार किया, तो आप देखे होंगे कि देश भर में उसका जो प्रोटेस्ट किसान लोगों ने भी बताया, नहीं ये हमारे पक्ष में है मगर थोड़ा we need some corrections like that. Why we are not coming in forefront? We are in the media only. We are not in the field because हमने 20-25 हजार गांव से रिजोल्यूशन पास करके प्रधानमंत्री जी, कृषि मंत्री जी के पास भेजा। We are in a different type of agitation. हमने इसको किए हैं और अभी भी कर रहे हैं। एक हफ्ते के बाद हम देश भर के रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बैठ कर फिर आगे की स्ट्रैटेजी बनाएंगे, क्या करना, कैसे करना है। उसमें एक दिक्कत हमारे लिए है, हम क्यों एकदम मैदान में उनके आमने सामने नहीं आ रहे। हम जिस संस्कार में बढ़े हैं वो वयम पंचाधिकार सत्तम एक संस्कार में बैठे, और किसान लोग आमने सामने हो जाएंगे, उसको कोई नियंत्रण नहीं कर सकता। थोड़ा दिक्कत है, कुछ लोग में थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम्स है। पंजाब, हरियाणा, पश्चिम प्रदेश में उनका मंडी कानून, टैक्सेस, कुछ कंफ्यूजन है। इसलिए अगर हम उतर जाएंगे आमने सामने, वो ठीक नहीं रहेगा। देश का लॉ एंड ऑर्डर सिचुएशन भी अच्छा नहीं हो सकता है। जैसे गंधर्व ने कौरवों को ले लिए थे, तो पांडव ने यद्यपि वो शत्रु थे, मैंने लड़ाई चलता था, फिर भी वो जाके उनको बताया, उस समय बताए थे कि वयम पंचाधिकार सत्तम। हम कुछ किसान भाई, किसान नेता थोड़ा दिक्कत में है, दिक्कत भी हो सकता है उनके बारे में। हम बात करते हैं उनसे कि आप चंडीगढ़ जाओ, राज्य सरकार का विषय खेती किसान है, मंडी राज्य सरकार का विषय है, और केंद्र का सहायता भी ले लो, वहीं बैठकर उनका रास्ता निकालो। इसलिए हम आमने सामने नहीं आते हैं, मगर बड़े स्तर पर देश भर में उसका जागरण करना, बताना और उस दिशा में लोगों को मैंने अवेयरनेस बढ़ाना कि यह कानून किसान के, देश के किसान के पक्ष में है, मगर उसमें थोड़ा संशोधन जारी जरूरी है। इस विषय को लेकर हम चलते हैं।
Dr. Singh.
Yeah. Now, one I could partly hear, I don't know, I could hear properly or not, but partly there was some connection problem. But what I could hear that how we are educating farmers about the bills. That is what the first part of the question.
He asked about
shifting of agriculture,
receding and water quality and shifting agriculture.
Okay. See, education, as I mean to say, I see personally, there is a network of 721 farm science centers we call Krishi Vigyan Kendra in the country. They are located at the district level. These are educating farmers, and annually 15 lakh farmers, we are training them directly. They come to our campuses, they get the training programs. But other than that, we have got one platform, M-Kisan portal, on which 5.36 crore farmers are registered. So those farmers get regular advisories from the research institutions. We have 100 research institutions also. 75 agriculture universities are there. So scientifically, knowledge is going to the farmers. And we try to convince the farmers that how they can have the, you can say, the better kind of agriculture following those practices which are sustainable in nature. And that as a part of it, we have been educating to the state governments also. And that's why the Haryana government has come forward with the kind of diversification. The government is paying rupees 7,000 per acre to substitute rice by any other crop. And also we have got the district contingency plan of all the districts. So we have projected that what kind of water status is there in the particular district, what kind of calamities are going to happen, what kind of forecast is there, and what kind of agriculture has to happen in particular districts, agroclimatic conditions. So, and also at the same time, we have created 151 climate smart villages in our country. 151 climate smart villages in different kinds of locations, addressing drought, flood, and other kinds of stress, whether it is soil related, whether it is ground related, ground water related. So these stresses we have addressed through climate smart villages. And looking into this, many governments are coming forward. Even Maharashtra has come up with 5,000 villages on the same model which we have created at certain locations. Government of Bihar has come up. Government of Telangana has come up. Similarly, organic farming models have been created by Indian Council of Agriculture Research, more than 51 now. We have brought more than 75 biofortified varieties. We talk all the time about nutrition. So these scientific interventions which are happening, I am happy to say that the Indian Council of Agriculture Research, all research institutions, agriculture universities work very closely with the farmers. I will say that many times it is participatory research also. It doesn't happen many things at campuses only, but in the farmers' conditions, technology testing, technology demonstration. So farmers are the part of the whole technology development, technology dissemination, technology application, and the kind of feedback which they are generating. So on regular basis, I mean to say that we are in connect with the farmers. In pulses itself, there was deficiency in production of pulses in our country. In 16-17, production was around 17 million tons. Now we are producing 23 to 25 million tons, and we say that we are self-sufficient. So pulses revolution happened in this country because all three sectors which are required, we produce large quantity of quality seeds, we gave it to the farmers, 549 Krishi Vigyan Kendras worked with the farmers, more than 3.5 lakh demonstrations in the farmers' fields were conducted. Farmers got convinced, area increased, and we are self-sufficient in pulses. So we talk about green revolution, but recently pulses revolution has already happened in our country. So that way we are trying to build the relationship and convergence with the farmers, go for the sustainable agriculture. We are also trying to incorporate pulses in the rice wheat system because it gives the other value, the nutritional value to the soil, the pulses growing itself. So crop rotations also we are changing different locations. And we are trying to say that whatever we grow, it has to be looking into the natural resources, what we have, the quality of soil. Soils are getting deteriorated because the amount of nutrition which we are taking in terms of growing crops, that much farmers are not able to supplement. Often it is talked that pesticide and chemicals use is quite high in India, but once we compare with the developed countries, it is almost 1/3, 1/4. Once you compare with the country like US, even Europe, China, we are almost 1/3, 1/4, what they are consuming in terms of pesticides and also fertilizers. Farmers still, and you can say the conscience of the Indian people still is that we have to grow organically, we have to grow something naturally, and that we have to consume. We are trying to educate somewhere in the quest of growing more production and earning money. Somewhere we find that some surplus application is happening, but most of the places it is quite low application still. But the quality of pesticides are more important. What pesticides are recommended for particular crops, and that kind of awareness we need to create in the farmers in our country. So we are doing all the bit which is required, and also governments bring different kinds of, you can say, slogans on the packets itself very clearly that what kind of ill effects it may carry. So those advisories often goes with the IT platforms also. Everybody is having mobile phones now. Mobile apps also have been created, commodity based, even pesticide based also. Mobile apps are there. So we are building a kind of knowledge, you can say, network in the entire country. We are trying to share the knowledge with the farmers, convince them that what they have to do and what they have not to do. Even many of the consignments of basmati rice and other products which go outside, they have to match with the requirements of those countries. So good agricultural practices is also a kind of concern for us. And we are producing what kind of produce is required in US, what is required in the Middle East, as per their standards, and what is required in the European Union. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Thank you, Dr. Singh, for explaining how ICR is doing for agriculture development in India. And thank you, Mohini ji. Next question is coming from Sri Tapaswi ji. He is PhD candidate at Purdue University, Indiana. And he also is a member of Think India Purdue. Over to you, Tapaswi ji. Could you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, namaste everyone. As Prakash ji was mentioning, I am a PhD candidate in materials engineering in Purdue University. I am the liaison officer for Think India Purdue. So my question is more of a fundamental question. The question is, was there any protocol followed to consult the stakeholders before passing the bill? And to what extent it was followed, if followed, and why is there a rush right now to bring an ordinance currently? Thank you.
Dr. Singh, over to you.
Okay, Mohini ji nahi hai kya? Anyway, see, in my address itself, I mentioned that the discussion and consultations are happening since 2000. It's not something new which has been done suddenly. So consultation has been going, several governments came, and at several forums it was discussed that we need to have open market, we need to have private investment, we need to have, you can say, alternative options. Why government has to regulate everything? Those regulations should go away. And many of the commodities where the government regulations have gone away, restrictions have gone away, those sectors have flourished. And in the agriculture itself, the other sectors I mentioned, the dairy sector, the poultry sector, the horticulture sector, all these are not in the net of this MSP and procurement. So, and they are growing like anything. Dairy itself contributing 25% to the GDP. And there is still a lot of scope from that sector. So consultations have been going on. And one question was also previously asked that why those who are in the support, they are not coming that much. See, it's a psychic, again, you will, the Indian people, they are not much reactive. And whether it is positive or negative, they do not come forward. This time, see, some myth has been spread around that it is going to hamper basically the MSP. That is the only concern. Other things are not, you can say, whether it's open market or not, that is not the concern of the farmers. But somehow, some segment of people have convinced them that MSP is not going to be there. And that is what, because they are growing rice and wheat, those pockets, and they are getting assured price of rice and wheat. Procurements happen, and that level of procurement doesn't happen anywhere in the country, only happens in Haryana and Punjab. And government is also earning almost 3,500 crore annually as a tax from the farmers and some support from the central government. So that is a fear in the minds of, you can say, some people that MSP will go. Otherwise, there has been a long consultation, years of consultations on this. We have all the time cited that the private investment has to be there, market should be open, farmers should produce, the groups of farmers should work together, there has to be clusters created of different commodities, there has to be facilitations for processing, value addition, and marketing. And that is what government is trying to do. And hopefully once the farmers get convinced in some areas, they will be supporting these bills, because they will be having better options now, what it was earlier available.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. I think we are running out of time. So one excellent question coming from Professor Usaji. She's asking why we are working on these bills for farmers, and if we are working on these bills for farmers, what are the progress government is doing to educate farmers so that reform can be fruitful? So I think you already talked about that. If you want to talk more, open to you, Dr. Singh.
See, in India, agriculture is the state subject. And so most of the implementation part happens at the state level. They bring different kinds of provisions also. Central governments provide support to the tune of 60%. Earlier, it used to be 40% from the central government, 60% from the state government. But for the many schemes, when this government came into picture, they said that the state government should play the bigger role. And 60% contribution started happening from the central government. This government also facilitated with first time PM Kisan rupees 6,000 going to the farmers right into their account. So there has been many positives, and many positives in terms of the soil health card. It was not earlier. Even the organic farming scheme, it was not that much discussed earlier. Even you can say the indigenous breeds of cows and livestock, that was not discussed that much. So many of the pluses has been happening in the past. Government have come up. Even government came with the crop insurance, all India support, which was not earlier. It was happening at the state level, but central government brought a lot of, you can say, interventions so that farmers could be benefited. The kind of awareness which was required, that was given. The knowledge which was required all the time is being provided to the farmers. But see, it's a large country, diverse country, and still many people are illiterate, so they find it difficult to, you can say, move with the entire development which is happening in the country. Sometimes they are left out. For that also, government is trying to create groups of the farmers and the concept of self-help groups, commodity groups, even now to higher scale farmers, producer organizations, so that the bigger number of farmers could come to a larger platform and they could have their say also. So these kinds of alternatives we are trying. Gujarat is a model of Amul, where milk production and its marketing collection happens on a large scale, benefiting everyone, benefiting the producer, benefiting the buyers, everyone get benefited into that one. So those models remain in that area only, the Amul model, it did not spread elsewhere. So looking into the success of that model itself, the government is coming with this kind of farmers producer organizations. That should happen other places also. Farmers should get benefit. And ironically, there should not be that much people dependent on agriculture. It is not today, many times it has been said that in the country like America, only 2% people are doing agriculture. Why 60%, 50% in India? Land holdings are so small, 1 acre, 1 hectare, that doesn't become profitable many times. But there has to be some viable option outside of that gamut also. So these realities are there with the Indian government, Indian agriculture, and we are trying to focus that small holdings, how they can be profitable, how the farmers can come together, they can aggregate their produce, make it profitable, how they can be more aware, how they can be protected with the, you can say, the environment which is required around them. And we have been successful in many ways, and that's why we find the productions are going up and up. The farmers are demanding much. And I hope that this issue will be also settled very soon. This issue of farmers, agitating farmers, the government will ensure the farmers of these two states that if you are continuing rice and wheat, your MSP will be there. Government is already telling, so they will be agreeing. But one adamant group is there who is telling that all the laws should be, you can say, repealed. So probably that is one bottlenecks on which we have to develop. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. I would request Mohini ji to add on something with a concluding question. One question is coming from Praneeth ji. He's asking, can NRI invest in agriculture under these reforms? If yes, will it comes under FDI? So over to Mohini ji.
Yes. Exactly, I don't know whether NRIs are coming. Many people are coming in agriculture. NRIs can come. Multinational companies may not come. We have some objections for that, and we are vehemently objecting that indigenous companies, big or small, they can come. So NRIs will come, and FDI, I don't know if it is calculated under FDI or not. It has to be dealt with the finance ministry. What really our question was, we are discussing all this opening of market since long. Bharatiya Kisan Sangh is working on this line. And in the 17-18 budget, last budgets of Mr. Arun Jaitley, the finance minister, he has been allocated 2,000 corpus fund of 2,000 crore corpus fund for 22,000 village huts. That has been not in picture now. We are fighting for that also. So 22,000 village huts, if they will be empowered, then farmers will be getting a better market to sell and purchase their produce. What AK Singh, I don't know why here we have just shifted one thing. Initially, the entire research and development, education and extension, we are based on food security, high yielding technology. Now we are shifting from food security to farmer security and high profit technology. So this is the shifting, and farmers are very eager to do all these things because farmers concerned, previously we don't consider farmer as a component of to agriculture. We are considering only seed, fertilizer as a components, but farmer is the main component in agriculture. Now the government policies are tending towards that. The concept of doubling farmers' income, that is basically leading towards the farmer security. If farmers will not secure, they will not cultivate. And profit security, the low cost, high yielding agriculture, it has to be developed. It is under research, and extension has to be sped up. So that is the issue. Therefore, we are in a transition. Like one thing we are not telling openly, the paralysis in Delhi. Initially, everybody knows that we advised, we train farmers for summer plowing, deep plowing and stubble burning. Farmers are doing some excess burning, that's all right. But to control the weeds and insects, to the hibernate seeds of weeds and hibernates of the insect, we want to kill for a safe next crop. We have advised the farmers for burning, but now they are doing some excess. But it has been changing. The technology has been changing like that. We don't want to burn them. We want to dissolve them in situ on the crop field. So research, likewise, research, education, extension is shifting from food security, high yielding, to farmer security, to high profit making. So that is the entire issue. The laws, the research, the issues, organic farming are linked with that only. So it may take some time, and government is doing its job. We are also, as the largest farmer, we are also doing this job. We are also talking and in working with coordination with ICR or other Krishi Vigyan Kendras, like that. And we need the outside help also. NRI should come, invest, mostly in agricultural infrastructure. They can come. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohini ji, and thank you, Dr. Singh. We have a time limit and we are crossing our time limit. So we can discuss a lot because agriculture is a complex subject. We can discuss income aspect, we can discuss environment aspect, we can discuss profitability and social aspect. We can discuss a lot, and there is there is no scope for full stop in agriculture, you can say. So with the time limit, I would request Resi ji for vote of thanks, civil thanks, our speaker and our participants. Over to you, Resi ji.
Thank you, Prakash ji. We have now reached the conclusion of tonight's event. I extend sincere gratitude from all of us to Mohini ji and Dr. Singh for their enlightening words on this very crucial topic. And I'm sure that the audience will agree with me that we have all learned some new nuances about this very important bill. Thank you so much, Mohini ji and Dr. Singh. Thank you, Prakash ji, for moderating the talk tonight. Thanks to Sukhi Chahal ji and Vandana ji also for their valuable inputs. I would also like to thank all the participants for joining us tonight and for their engaging questions. Just a reminder that this session was also cast on the Bharatiyam USA YouTube channel. You can watch the session later on also. Now, I would like to thank all our partners, TV Asia, Think India Purdue, Lead India Princeton, ISA Kansas State University, Desi University of Maryland, ISA University of California, San Diego, and Telugu NRI Radio. Thank you, everyone. Anybody who's interested in knowing more about Bharatiyam and Awaaz, please check out the slide. Also, you can stay back with us and we can chat. Thank you, everyone. Namaste.
Thank you.